Hello there, it's Sev from Three Counties Motorhomes and welcome to the video guide for the older style Dometic fridge freezers such as you see in front of us right here. This type of fridge freezer will typically have some controls over here, some other controls over here, and also distinguished by this yellow or amber control right here. And when you open the unit, there should be a little circular pilot light viewport in the corner there as well. So if that matches the description of your fridge, then this video guide should be useful for you. So let's start. So first things first, this design of fridge is a three-way fridge freezer. It uses the three different typical energy sources such as gas, mains electric and 12 volts. Now we're going to start with the gas because that's the more involved process. So in order to fire this up on gas, first things first, of course, you need to make sure your gas is on. If there's any gas isolation taps like these inside your vehicle, then you need to make sure those are, of course, open as well. And then we should be good to go. Now, if you do fail to try and light this on gas, even though all the above has been confirmed as ready, then there may be an airlock in your gas system, and I recommend using a hob or something like that that has much bigger burners. Fire up all your hob burners and pull through any big airlocks, then retry your fridge freezer, because the burner in here is rather small, and if it's a significant airlock it can't pull it through. And hopefully after burning some gas through the hob you should find any airlocks are removed, and this should then successfully light, of course. So how do we light on gas? Well, it's going to be these controls here on the right. We have the gas valve itself right here. This starts off here, as you can see, with the dot lined up with the indicator arrow. We're going to turn this to the flame position whilst pushing in to introduce gas. We have the gas flow here, which essentially will also, when running, choose our level of cooling. So the higher the number, the colder the unit will get. And then we have the igniter here, this amber on-off switch. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to press this in, and it's going to repeatedly flash here whilst igniting or trying to ignite the gas. This is always the first and last thing we do on gas operation, because when the flame successfully ignites, this, while still in the on position, will stop trying to ignite. So if while we're using the fridge freezer we hear the igniter start clicking again, we know that the gas flame must have gone out, and we can either come back and relight or shut everything down. Likewise, of course, as you're turning the unit off, you turn off the gas first and confirm it, because the igniter will start flashing again, which therefore means the flame must have successfully been extinguished. So we'll start by doing that. So as you can see, it's flashing and clicking. So what we're going to do is we're then going to introduce gas. But there's also a third part to this, which is where we look at the pilot light viewport you can see down there. Now what I'm going to do to make this a bit easier is I'm going to see if I can remove the fridge shelf. There we go. That'll give us a bit of a clearer view. Now, it may be quite difficult to spot the flame on camera, but I'll try and do my best. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the igniter, we're going to push this in, turn it to the flame position, and as you can see it's stopped clicking. You may have even heard the gas igniting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let go of the gas. It hasn't started clicking again, which means the gas should still be lit, and I should be able to confirm that by looking in the pilot light viewport, and as you can see the blue pilot light in there successfully lit. Brilliant stuff. We are now lit on gas, and we can then tune the cooling level with the dial just here. Like I say, the higher the number, the colder it gets, and that's the little indicator arrow just there. So we're sort of just past 5 at the moment. And that's how you light on gas. It's as simple as that. Like I say, if the gas flame happens to go out, this will start clicking again because it's still in the on position. And you always leave this in the on position whilst you're running on gas for that very reason. If the gas happened to go out, it's going to try and ignite. So if there is any excess gas in there, it will ignite or not be a problem. You're not going to end up with a build-up of gas in there unlit that could, of course, be a hazard. So to turn off of gas, what we're going to do is we're going to, whilst looking at the pilot light itself, if I can get that in view again, right there, we are going to turn off the gas by turning it back to the dot again where we started. and the igniter should, oh, it's kicked back in already, so the gas has actually gone out, and that's most likely because I probably haven't turned the gas on. So what we're going to do, so that's a good sign there. As you can see, the gas has clearly gone off because the pilot light has died, and the fact that that started clicking again shows me, and I'm actually quite happy that that's happened on camera. So let's just check. Yes, I did forget to turn the gas on, so there we go. So now I should be able to relight on gas. So click in, we're clicking, push and turn. It's immediately lit back up. Let go. Must be still ignited, that's good. And hey presto, we have a pilot light. So there we go. So that actually was good because it shows us what would happen if for some reason there was a problem with your gas and the gas shut it off. You can see that that clicked back in immediately, and that's a good way of you being alerted to the fact the gas has actually gone out. So let's shut down. So as I said, we're going to look at the pilot light at the same time as we turn off the gas, okay? And the reason we do it while looking at the pilot light is because we're going to have two ways of verifying. We're definitely going to watch the pilot light die with our own eyes, and then we should also hear and see the igniter kick back in. So in a second, when I say I'm turning off the gas, I'm going to be turning this dial off right here. So let's get the pilot light in view so you can see, and I'm going to turn off the gas in 3, 2, 1. As you saw there, the pilot light died and the igniter has indeed started clicking again. So that doubly verifies the gas must be off, and we can then shut off the igniter right there. And that's the operation on gas. It's as simple as that. It's not too hard. It's confusing if you didn't know the process, but hopefully now you do. You shouldn't have any problems. Last up, we have electric operation. That's handled over here. Mains electric operation is going to be the larger green switch here, and when we click it in, that will now be on mains electric. Now, some models of these fridge freezers, the switch will illuminate. Others may not if it's an old or if the switch has been replaced. I believe this particular unit has been replaced as this switch isn't illuminating, but I know it is indeed working on mains electric. In this dial here, does the same as this dial here essentially. It chooses your cooling intensity. Again, the higher the number, this one goes up to 7. The higher the number in line with the indicator, the colder it's going to get. And that's how you run on mains electric. Just literally flick that switch. Lastly, we have 12 volt operation, which, although indicated by the battery here, is never going to use a battery. This is looking for, well, it shouldn't. The typical way of wiring in is going to be to your engine's alternator so that it's picking up a feed while the engine is running. If you've got some weird and wonderful change to that and yours is in fact running off a battery, then I do stand corrected. But the typical accepted way of wiring these in is so this is wired to take a feed when your engine is running, and if your engine's not running, it won't have any power, hence the reason why it's not lighting up now, because there's no power. The engine on this vehicle isn't running. So this here, you turn on when you're going to go driving. When your engine's running, it supplies 12 volt power to maintain the temperature in the fridge freezer. Then when you get to your destination and you're ready to set up on pitch, you're going to choose either mains electric or gas, depending on what you have available and what is your preference. Now, just to be clear, the 12 volt mode of operation on this fridge freezer is not capable of lowering the temperature. So please don't put loads of food in here and think because you've got an 8-hour journey to your destination that the food should be lovely and cold with that amount of running on 12 volt. Because it won't. It'll be the same temperature. It's only gas here or mains electric that are capable of lowering the temperature properly in the fridge freezer. So always lower it first using one of those two energy sources, and then when you're driving you can just keep that temperature held by the 12 volt mode. I hope that makes sense. Lastly, we'll talk about opening and closing the door, which is typically to open this way. Wherever you see this contraption, that's the opening end of the door. And as you can see, there are 2 holes in the door right here. What we're going to do is when the door is fully closed and we push this down, the little plunger comes down, as you can see, like so, and that will go into one of these holes. Now, the outermost hole is fully closed. So in this instance, it's not quite lining up, so I need to just push against the fridge freezer door, and that should then clip in like so. And that is now, as you can see, in the outermost hole, keeping that nice and tight and secure. And now that's not going to open, so if there's any drink bottles or anything heavy on the door, driving isn't going to allow the door to swing open or anything like that. To release, you're just going to press this green button here, but it looks like it might press down, but it doesn't. It presses that way. So I just push that way and it will just pop out. And there we go, we can open the door again. And of course the inner one here, if I line up with that one, that is a ventilation position. So you can see there, we've got it on the innermost, and I can actually get my fingers behind the rubber seal there. That is a ventilation mode, so that when you're not using the fridge freezer, it's not going to go horrible and smelly. And of course, just the same again, push the button and it's good to go. And there we go, that's the video guide for the older Dometic fridge freezer. I hope that's been useful and informative, and I'm Sev. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care.